Oh, I didn't see you come in there.
You gotta aim it.
I didn't. That wasn't. You were committed. Oh my god.
Oh, he didn't see you come in. Cheers.
Maybe just for an hour or two, I'll get to spend some time with you. We'll share a cup of coffee and the paper.
Hey everybody, we're hanging here at Fieldwork Brewing with our pals at Brothers Comatose, who gratefully showing up today to drink some beer with us and play a few tunes. They're going to be playing our second anniversary party. They played our first as well and brought the house down. It's going to be March 31st at the UC Theater in Berkeley, and tickets are going to go on sale next week. So welcome, guys.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, cheers.
Yes.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm gonna need another beer.
Gio can talk about the flavor profile.
I would love to.
Yes.
Yeah, he's doing a good job there.
It's silky smooth like Bob Seger's voice.
Damn, it's like you can read my heart.
I'm just saying, if I had morning time, I would have made it work. Just saying. The first beer we did that was Brothers Comatose inspired beer was Morning Time. And it was one of those beers where we knew before we opened the brewery that we wanted to do a very coffee heavy oatmeal stout. And those are always known as breakfast stout. So Morning Time is what we want in coffee beer. Coffee's one of the greatest things on earth, but it's actually often detrimental to beer by nature, since it's acidic and roasty and it has all these characteristics that are great on their own. But when you add it to beer with the bitterness of hops, with all these other things, the acrid nature of dark roasted grains, a lot of coffee beers tend to get acidic and acrid. And if you add coffee to some dark beers often, you'll end up with something that's overly bitter because you already have the bitterness from the hops, and then dark grain adds more acidity. And then you have coffee, which is just on top of it. It can be overwhelming, and it makes the beer taste much thinner than it is. I always describe it as being somewhat cola-like, and that's something we just don't like in coffee beers, and so we wanted to design one for what we want to drink, which was a big, chewy, heavier beer that kind of supported the coffee, paid tribute to the coffee, because coffee is one of those things that there are a few things in this world you shouldn't screw up. I think they're Pilsners, the national anthem, and coffee. And so wanted to pay pay respect to the coffee and do it justice. So by doing that, it's a much chewier, heavy beer that really it's all about the coffee and the coffee aroma and all that, and everything else is just supporting it. When I was searching for a name, it was taking forever. Anybody who hasn't had the misfortune of opening a brewery, it is impossible to find any name that's not trademarked or already used. So I was just listening to Brothers Comatose, and Morning Time came on, and it was kind of one of those dumb aha moments of Morning Time's the perfect name for a coffee oatmeal stout.
It's trademarked, by the way.
And it is trademarked. So, but it was a beer that we knew we were going to have before we even opened, and just really stoked that the song was also such an amazing song, and it was the first Brothers Comatose song I had ever heard. So it made for a pretty easy to choose name for that beer.
Nice. Thanks, man. I was drinking a lot of beer at the time. All about that. I mean, it's just kind of about, I guess, struggle between man and woman. I guess a lot of people can relate to that. Can't we all? It is. I mean, and it wasn't even intended necessarily to be a Brothers Comatose song. It just kind of ended up that way, and we got Nikki Bloom to sing on it. And it just kind of blossomed into that thing that it
Well
was.
said.
Where were you? Where did you write the song?
I was living in San Francisco at the time with a girl that I'm not with any longer. So,
You know what? That happens.
yeah, writing a song for a girl isn't always a guarantee that things are going to work out okay.
The song kind of details why it didn't work out.
Yeah, it is. It's like a blueprint for why a relationship isn't working. But
Biographical.
yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But hey, turned into an okay song. So, and a killer beer. Thank you.
Oh yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Whenever Ben writes a soft, sensitive song, he's always like, "Oh, this song's stupid. It's not for the band," and then we all love it. He's like, "No." I think it's like one of those. I don't know. Is that reverse psychology?
Not intentional on my part, at least.
Yeah. But he was the naysayer. Actually, of the band. Everybody else was for it.
I thought it was a little sensitive too in the beginning as well. So I was kind of on Ben's side. So.
No one knew what you thought because you would never say that.
He reveals his thoughts.
This is the first time.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if that. I don't think it's gonna work. Well, I first showed it to Phil. I came to Phil's house one day and we were screwing around with it, and then he's like, "Oh, dude, we got to keep this thing going." And I was like, "I don't think it'll work for the band."
Really? I said that?
Yeah. And
drinking.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
But then then it kind of, because then it wasn't really anything at that. It was just like the beginning of a song, and it wasn't even intentionally a duet or whatever at that point. And then we're like, "Oh, it'd be cool to have a duet," because I love like female singers and like just trying to. And the song kind of works that way too. So
It sounded weird too when you were singing all the high parts.
halfway between.
Just really needed something.
As a joke, but we had to rehearse it like that for every rehearsal.
That's
Ben
true.
Singing all the girl parts falsetto.
That's
It's
true.
like,
That's true.
Yeah. Then getting Nikki Bloom on it too. That was a huge deal. She was like just kind of coming up at the time.
Really well.
Man, her voice is perfect on that. She's kind of got that.
Unbelievable.
Because she was doing that country project at the time, like old school country project, and I think she had that like perfect amount of sweetness and twang to her voice. Yeah, it was good.
The first one was we named Morning Time after the song out of, I want to say, convenient inspiration. So, need a name for a beer, heard the song. We already had kind of a history of naming things after local arts. And then, they played our first anniversary, which was, I tell everybody, it was like my version of being on my Super Sweet 16 on MTV. I felt like such a diva that day. I got my favorite band playing all my favorite songs in our building, and I totally went full blown, just diva mode. It was awesome. And so, and one of the interesting things was talking to Rick, their manager, and him and I have a lot of mutual friends, and one of the things we brought up, because I had spent a lot of time in the music industry when I was younger. I have actually worked for similar people with Rick. And the one thing about them playing our anniversary party was not how amazing they were live, which they blew everyone away. They're all really nice people, and they're all really personable. And that's often not the case in certain industries. So the second one, Painted Gold Pale Ale, was intentionally a beer written after listening to the album, hearing how amazing it was, and having gotten to know them as people, going, these guys are awesome people and they're writing amazing music, and I want to make a beer that kind of steals inspiration from the song and the album. I don't know why. I normally have like a vendetta against the title track, and it works so well on this album, and I think I'm curious to hear the meaning behind writing it, but as an outsider, it seems very, and as somebody who lived in San Francisco a long time ago, it seemed like the most poignant song written about living in the Bay Area today, is the way I took it. And just wanted to make a beer that was more or less a thank you for playing our anniversary and for writing awesome music and for making that album, which was beyond killer.
Well, that's awesome.
Giggles McGee.
But first of all, I think you even told me that you're like, these guys don't like drinking super strong beer, so I'm gonna brew like a pale ale, like a low alcohol
which is what
pale
I
ale.
drink too.
Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, dude, this guy gets us, man.
Why drink 10 beers when you can drink 30?
Exactly. Oh man. Yeah.
That's right.
So like that was the first time. Yeah, he had told me about it. I think we were just in here drinking one day, and
That's a good point. For a long time in my life, I was confused why they sold 6-packs. I would go to the store and there'd be 6-packs for sale, and I was like, who only drinks 6? Honestly, it took me until I don't know, probably a good 5 years ago that I was like, oh, okay, so if you just want to have one. I just didn't get that. This is like college.
There's like outliers.
Oh, Jesus.
You're an outlier.
He also blacks out after 3. How would you know?
Makes me feel
None
weird.
left when I wake up.
Out of just sheer curiosity about the song, like what inspired it? Like what was it written?
Well, first of all, I unintentionally stole the musical part from Gio, who had written something very similar like a year or two earlier.
Very similar?
Wait a second there. Come on. Anyway, the song itself is about being being out on tour, being on the road, and then coming back and not recognizing San Francisco. Like we lived in San Francisco for a long time. Alex and I lived together on Haight Street for a long time, and coming back and then seeing a city that's changing so quickly you don't recognize it anymore, and seeing it taken over by people that you don't recognize, and like the mom and pop restaurant or whatever that used to be on the corner is now like a boutique shop, and San Francisco is just rapidly turning into something that's it's a little bit more homogenized, I guess, and so that was kind of like the whole idea behind it, because like Alex and I were going through this process where we're living in on Haight Street in San Francisco, but the building got bought out by new landlords and we were getting kicked out like a ton of other musicians. Like all our musician friends were leaving town and couldn't afford rent anymore because their rent prices are getting jacked up, and that was, I mean, it's sad because it's been known for its musical history, and now that's kind of, slowly going away, but so that it's kind of a sad song, actually.
Wait, are you trying to say that music doesn't pay a lot of money? Get out.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that's why I was drawn to the song, was having lived there a long time ago and moving back up here 10 years. I moved back almost to the day, 10 years after I moved down to San Diego, moved back up, and it was the same thing. I didn't recognize anything up here.
Yeah.
And I mean, so my assumptions about what it's about are right, but I love that you guys made it such a pretty song about such a slightly depressing topic.
You kind of have to, like you disguise the kind of sad songs as like kind of upbeat, like happy tunes or whatever, but or else nobody wants to listen to them unless it's raining out and they want to have a good cry or something.
So what you're saying is Gio's first version of that was depressing.
No, the musical part was, whatever. We don't have to go there.
I didn't. Can we shut those cameras off for a minute?
Barry, my lawyer, can talk to you. At liberty.
Nice.
I didn't mean to Jerry Springer you guys, but oh man.
And the father is.
Yeah.
How we started.
So the whole marrying beer and music thing's been happening for a while now, and I used to hate it. I hate it because I'm like, they're different arts, and one of them's more science than art, and it didn't dawn on me until we opened Fieldwork, and I'm writing recipes almost every single day, and writing more than that, beer descriptions every day, and I can count on one hand how many beer descriptions I've written that I didn't have headphones on listening to music writing, because I think music's such a great descriptor of whatever, whether it's an emotion or a story or any of that. And so getting the beer, in words is really hard to do. And so I'm always listening to music while I'm writing the beer descriptions, because I don't like boring beer descriptions. I like my beer descriptions to be either super weird or at least like really evocative, where it makes you want to drink the beer. And so that's when the kind of bridge for me started making sense. And then it then evolved into, we've done just a lot of musically inspired beers. I think with, for me, it's kind of a soapbox. We get to pay tribute to the things we love. So we've done 924 double IPA, which is to raise money for 924 Gilman. We get to make Painted Gold Pale Ale and more or less hopefully introduce some of our fans to be your fans, and because I think that's the one commonality really is we both have fans, and they tend to be the same people too.
Well, I think that's a
culturally
really important
process.
thing too, because these guys work their butts off, you know, and they travel all around the country and they play gig after gig after gig. And you know what? We work our butts off too. And, you know, they're a small business, we're a small business. And we're both just trying to do the best we can every day to be good at what we do. And I totally respect these guys and everything they do. And that's why I'm so grateful they're playing our 2nd anniversary again.
We drink beer every day. It's perfect.
Right? Well, I think, and that's the other thing, I mean, I didn't even think of till right now, but I mean, you go to any brewery in the country, maybe 1% has no music playing.
Oh, yeah.
If you're making beer, you're listening to music while you make beer.
Yeah.
And I don't care what brewer you're at. That brewer has what they, I mean, you go out to Three Floyds and they are going to be playing death metal. Like you go to certain, and I think it's part of your culture of your brewery is what music are you listening to while you brew. And we have an eclectic taste here, but I think without question, like Bluegrass and Brothers Comatose and you know, bands like Trampled by Turtles are always going to be playing back there.
Nice.
Along with Sleep.
Yes. Nice.
All right.
So we're the Brothers Comatose. We got Barry and Alex from Fieldwork Brewing Company. We're playing the 2nd anniversary party for Fieldwork, and on March 31st at the UC Theater. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Wait, hello, I didn't see you.
Oh,
There it is.
See?
yeah.
Snuck it in at the end.
Very natural.